Hi guys, today I'm working on something that I am really enjoying. I had a recent realization about line work and where I want to go with it. So I'm excited to talk a bit about that, about the experimenting process and everything. But first, I want to give a really quick thank you to the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. I can't thank them enough for supporting me and my channel and my artwork. And I love their product. They are an online learning community with thousands of classes based on all sorts of creative endeavors and productivity and motivation and all sorts of things that are connected into this world of creativity. And I love being able to go over there and watch the classes and find new sparks of interest and joy with the work that I'm doing. So I highly recommend it. And it's really affordable. It's less than $10 a month for the annual subscription of Skillshare Premium. And I have a link down in the description that will give the first 1,000 people a free trial of Skillshare Premium, so you can go test it out and watch a bunch of classes and see if you like it. And recently I watched a class over there called Creative Breakthrough, 8 Exercises to Power Your Creativity, Confidence, and Career by Danica, and I loved it. It really got me thinking about my actual process and looking for that spark of joy and interest and excitement for moving forward with it. And the more I thought about it, the more I started realizing that line work is one of the things that I feel is an area that I could greatly improve on, at least my enjoyment of it and my connection with it. So line work has been kind of a cornerstone for my artwork for probably most of the time that I've been creating art since a kid. I very strongly remember the first time that I got my set of my inking pens, the very first ones, and I was totally hooked from then on. I love the process of creating line work, and I love the look of line work, and it's just like this really satisfying puzzle of just cleaning things up and sharpening things and building up the width of the lines and making sure the areas are thinner, and it's just this really satisfying process for me, and I love it. But I've been thinking more and more recently about how it's not nearly as satisfying as it used to be because of the shifts that I've made over time. So I used to do it with micron pens like I'm doing right now in this video, and the creation of it, the actual application of the lines is just so enjoyable for me. This is something that I love. But the limiting factors are the colors, really. So it does mean that I cannot adapt nearly as well to the colors that I want to have in a piece. I can't create depth nearly as well with having, say, lighter colors in the background for the line work, or having the colors match the shapes that I'm actually painting. So that was the thing that drove me away from using technical pens like this for doing my line work. And ultimately, that still is the way that I feel about it. I think that that's a very important element for me improving my artwork over time, is I need to be able to really adapt the line work to the piece itself. But I do really want to find a way to do it that I can really enjoy like I used to with these pens. I still really enjoy creating it with my method now, which is with just a really fine brush and the watercolors that I'm already using. That way I can match the colors really well to what I've already painted, because I can basically use the same pigments that I've already created with. But it also comes with a lot of frustration, or mild frustration, I guess, with the fact that I can't quite get it as sharp and as clean as I would like, and there are certain issues with my handling of the brush where I'm just not as confident with it, which really just more practice can go a long way. But yeah, I find that I cannot get it as sharp and clean and crisp as I want it to be. And there are certain limitations with the colors as well, because I need it to be dark enough to become opaque, because with the watercolors, if I thin it enough to be a lighter line for an area that I might want less oppressive line work, then it becomes more and more transparent, which means that it doesn't have the quality of cleaning up that area, being able to sharpen up adjoining areas where there's two shapes that come together and it's a little bit messy, and then I can put the line work down and it's just sharp and clean. If it's transparent, it no longer has that effect. It just ends up looking messier. So ultimately, I can vary the color for sure, but have to keep it pretty dark, and I have to keep a lot of pigment within the mixtures that I'm using. So it does still have the limits, but yeah, the biggest thing is that I find that I just don't enjoy applying it as much as I used to. I still really enjoy that process of sharpening up areas and watching it transform a piece, but I've made the realization that there's got to be some method out there that could be closer to perfect, closer to something that brings in all the elements that I want. And I guess really, I know this video is very just centered on what I'm working on and what I want to achieve, but hopefully it will be at least a little inspiring for you guys. If there is an element in your process or in the mediums that you're using that just doesn't really settle quite right, or you just don't enjoy it, that maybe this will be a little boost to help you look for ways that you can experiment and incorporate maybe new mediums or new techniques to solve those things. And that's what I want. I just want to be able to continue to learn how I can adapt what I'm working with and how I can progress my own skills so that everything can move forward with looking better and me enjoying the process more. And yes, just heightening everything about it, which would be ideal. But anyways, I'm really excited about this. I'm excited about the prospect of going and exploring different methods and potentially coming up with my own method. I think one of the things that I am going to try out to potentially make things a little bit better is I'd like to try using hot press paper a little bit more. I've definitely used it in the past, and it has a lot of really great benefits, but it can also be a bit more challenging to work with than cold press paper. Cold press paper just holds the pigment better so that you can get smoother washes a lot easier than hot press paper, which is smooth. But if it's smooth, it also means that even if I'm using a brush and my watercolors to create the line work, it'll be easier to get something that's sharp and clean as opposed to a textured paper. And today, what I'm inking right now is on Bristol board, which is a very smooth paper, and that allows me to get really crisp lines and not have the texture of the paper obscure the line work or create a less sharp line. And it also has the added benefit of allowing me to create smaller, tighter details on hot press paper because there's less texture. It does mean that I can get smaller and smaller before it becomes obscured by the texture of the paper, which wouldn't really ever happen with hot press paper. But with cold press paper, it does. There have been times where I've wanted to do smaller details, and then because of the texture of the paper, it warps the shape of it, and then it no longer looks the way that I want it to. So it does have certain benefits, and I have absolutely enjoyed it in the past. So I'm excited to try that out. I also think that I would like to try potentially using like a coal erase pencil or colored pencils. This one is one I'm a little bit more iffy on because I really, really hate sharpening pencils. But I think if I go this route, I just need to get an electric pencil sharpener so I can just zip them up really sharp and to be able to create a really sharp point. But this would allow me to have the adaptability of the colors. It also would allow it so that I could go in with lighter values for areas that need a lighter line work. This one, yeah, I think that I'm not sure that it's the perfect fit, but I think it'll be fun to at least experiment and see how it can fit, how I can work with it. It would definitely need to be, at least for the way that I would want to approach it, it would need to be on the hot press paper because I have tried doing colored pencil line work on cold press paper and it is just way too textured for me to enjoy it, and it chews up the pencil so quickly that I felt like I was always using a dull pencil to create that. So yeah, those are the first two that I can think of that I'd like to start exploring. But I found that Wiley Beckert, she's one of my absolute favorite artists, but learning about her process and how much she experiments and shifts things around and how important the line work is to her work, it really inspires me to want to go down a path of just experimenting and really nailing that out and figuring out what I can do. And don't forget to check out Skillshare. I've got that link down in the description. For the first 1,000 people, you can go and get a free trial of Skillshare Premium to check it out and watch classes and see if you like it. I really love it. I love being able to go over and get inspiration and ideas from Skillshare. And I do have this artwork that I'm working on today as a coloring page over on my Patreon for the $1 and up tiers over there. So there's a link down in the description that'll take you over there. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you for all of the support that I get from my patrons over there. You guys help me to be able to make artwork every single day and make these videos. So I can't thank you enough for that. But yeah, that is it for today. I will be back again soon with some more art content and more painting, and I'll see you guys then.